Boom. Okay, recording's on. Yeah, so I've worked with trees all over the place. Every time I go somewhere, I connect in with the trees. One of my big spots is the redwoods up in California, and then the other one is down around Belize and Guatemala, um, in the mangroves there. Do you have a good connection with trees?
Yes, me and my wife both. One of our favorite teachings that was given to us by a Hopi elder was about the trees,
Ah,
and it's always stuck with us. We've shared that teaching all over this turtle's back.
great. Okay, so we're recording, and then maybe we'll shift right back to that as the first stories. Um, why don't we go around the whoever's here and just, if you want to take turns, folks, just check in who you are, why you're here. Don't have to say why we're late because I already realized why. We had competing times on the thing. Anyway, I'm all right. I'll start it. I'm Jim Graywolf here out of Sedona, Arizona at the moment. This is my home base. I'm here because I was asked to be here to lead it for one thing, but I'm here to share the stories because now is the time to share those stories. I'm Romany Gypsy and United Western Lenape. Those are my two primary DNA pieces, but I'm basically a mongrel. Okay, next.
I can go. My name is Jerry. Actually, my name Nusa Ingwa Chojo a Iwaya. My wife is Yui Unaji. She is of Jalagi, the Jalagi people. Ani Wodi is her clan, and we are here. We're currently in Texas, and we've been sent all around the turtle's back for a long while now by Creator, and we are happy to be settled right now for the moment in this circle.
Great. Excellent. And we got a, oh boy. Okay. I just had to remove somebody. We had somebody get in.
Hey, listen here, pal.
Who's
God
next?
damn it! Why did you remove Bent Over, man? Come on, man!
And so we had two of them.
It appears Coyote has decided to make an appearance.
Coyote is definitely in the works today. Hey,
Yeah.
Christine.
Hi. Um, yeah, I'm from Connecticut.
Okay.
Originally from the Torrington area, now um, transplanted to Alaska for 50 or 60 years. Now I'm back.
Wow.
I'm quite a convoluted story of my background, but my people are Irish Scots, so I've got a real strong Celtic Druid background.
Okay.
Came into shamanism and learning about it later in life. As a clinician, I'm looking for more ways to connect with people and their spiritual journeys. And so, anyway, I'm here because I need connection. I need to find my people. I do have a group drum circle that I attend once a month, but I'm feeling the need for more connection to be much more active in supporting those things that are being threatened right now. Uh, Yay, thank you for smudging me. So that is my story at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're the three, plus now we have the Eagles behind us. That's great. Appreciate that, Jerry. Especially since I'm here in Eagles Roost Sanctuary. That's perfect. Yeah, I mean, sharing stories is really becoming more and more. Jerry started talking about Hopi person who shared a story of trees, right? Was that the gist of it? I was still
Yes,
trying to work. Yeah.
he's actually a Hopi elder from the Bluebird clan, which is the historians for the people.
Ah.
And my wife and I have been fortunate enough to have actually been taken in by the Hopi people, and um, I was actually given the responsibility of carrying some of their stories
Awesome.
and teachings.
Wow. Would
What
you
an
like,
honor.
yeah. Would you like to open us by sharing a story?
Yes, well, I'll share you this instead of a story. It's part of a teaching. It's about the tree. In Hopi, it's Hoko. Hoko Am is the standing ones,
Mm-hmm.
the tree nations, and one of the teachings that they give. I mean, there's so many things they give. Just like any good grandmother, they protect us. Anyone can come and take shelter underneath, and there is no prejudice with Hoko with tree. Anyone can take shelter within, and well, one of the things that they teach us is upright thinking, virtuous thinking. There's no real. It's a rough translation into English from Hopi, and I'll go over some of the things about the tree.
Mm-hmm.
The tree is firmly rooted in the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and look what happens when they lose that strong connection, just like us.
Mm-hmm.
And the tree, unlike many other living beings, never stops growing. They're always growing upward toward Creator, and outward, stretching out its arms. And one of the things that today, for example, I think the strongest lesson of the tree is about diversity, because a white oak white pine can stand with a red cedar, a yellow birch, a black ash. There's no harm done, and all are welcome. They all continue to follow their original instructions, and they grow together in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like my wife just said, a white ash in the middle of a pine forest is still a white ash.
That's true.
It still follows its original instructions. And my favorite is the giveaway. So every fall, what happens every fall? That which it needs to sustain life, its many hands, its leaves, it sheds and drops to the ground. That sacrifice, that giveaway,
Mm-hmm.
sustains all life around it, and thus, in the circle, the tree itself is sustained by that very act, that selfless act of giving.
Mm-hmm.
And that those are the favorite teachings that we have that stand out the most to us about the trees.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah, you're bringing into me as one of my early trips a long time ago, when my hair was still black, was up through Utah, and I was pulled into this large area of trees, aspen, and I felt the energy, and I was out there. I was really pretty much a novice in a lot of these things yet, so I was starting to my elders had told me to go out, visit the natural areas, talk to the mother in all the different areas, especially the trees. They knew my connection. And so I was pulled into this grove. So I parked and I walked in and I sat and I threw up a couple prayers and laid some tobacco. And as I was doing that, the energy just kept getting stronger and stronger. And I didn't know really where I was exactly. I was just driving and this came to me. And it turned out to be the Pando Grove, which is supposedly the largest organism on Earth. The Pando Grove is a grove of aspen that all came out of one root, which is another kind of dovetails right in what you were saying, Jerry. Dropping the leaves. Well, the Pando is one huge organism because it's basically one root with all these trees. And when you sit in there, wow, you can feel it. At least I could feel it big time. And that was one of the things that really woke me to work even more with the trees. I work with the four-leggeds. I work with all of nature. I love every piece of it, but trees have always pulled me. So anyone ever going that way, look up to Pando Grove, go, sit, do a prayer, do a little ceremony, burn some sage. Just be careful. Don't hurt the grove. Uh, so that was one of my first real early immersions in with the standing people.
My wife Lori's child taught her how to listen, to
Uh,
hear the trees speak when he was
yeah.
a little boy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. That's awesome. When I've taught in the past in different places, I've often had the young ones who are connected to the trees or the flowers, but certainly with the growing things. And I always thought it's because they were growing too, that connection was even stronger. And you just reminded me of that. Thank you. It's been a while since I did that, but the memories stay, so we can teach them out. Who else would like to take the talking stick?
I'm not sure that I have anything particular to trees, although
Well,
I've always had an affinity for them.
Hmm.
I think my most profound experiences were living in Alaska
Hmm.
for a while, was involved with the Athabascan people in interior Alaska and learning the respect for all living things, and how to honor each one of the living things when they cut down a tree, when they harvested an animal, um, and even some of the taboos about meat consumption. There's, age appropriateness and gender appropriateness for some animals, and it was that particular year of immersion that became kind of the major guiding post in my life. And since then, it's been a quest to make sense of all those lessons that I got in that year. And
Mhm.
part of it is listening, especially to old growth. There was a spot on the 160 acres that we homesteaded in Alaska in the early 60s. It was old growth leading down to a lake. And that old growth really spoke to me even as a 12-year-old.
Hmm.
And those voices come back to me from time to time. And being able to being part of how I enter the upper and lower worlds now as one of my sacred spaces.
Mhm.
Um,
Thank you. That's good. See, you have plenty to share. And of course, this doesn't have to be just about the standing people. It could be any part of our cultures. Hi, Randall. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. I guess I could share a little bit. I really connect with the plant energy
Hmm.
in my own personal life. My home is a little bit of a jungle. I got stuff growing everywhere. I just finished filling like my fifth shelf with garden seeds on a grow shelf for getting ahead for my garden and have a worm farm in the kitchen. I can show you. I think I can't. Well, maybe I can't. Oh, here I can turn it around right there. Let's see, right there. There's my worm farm. So, a lot of the times I'll take a little bit of the soil out of my worm farm, make sure it has some worms in it, and I'll stick it in one of my growing containers. So I create little biomes in every container that I have stuff growing in. There's my grow shelf that's just packed. I probably got close to 1,000 things growing in there, ready to meet the spring. And all of this. And all of this. I've got something growing in every room almost, except for the bathroom. And I love the energy that I feel, when I've got so much growing around me. Of course, it cleans the oxygen, but it's just a good feeling too. And this is a little bit of a kind of a sanctuary room for me. It's like my cold room, but it's also where I do all my planting and I store all my seeds. And I have soil in the house to do replantings and stuff like that, whatever time of year that I want to. So I just totally love the planter energy and just super connect with it. And I've got it everywhere, all around me. So
That's
I
amazing.
don't know what more you want me to add.
That's great. That's wow, what energy. That's I remember from my primary DNA is Romani Gypsy, passed through my grandmother. She was a
Yeah.
medicine woman over in Europe before she came here. And
Yeah.
one of her things was, well, from her through the people, um, that it's not as important in where you live, but what lives around you. And boy, you've got that spot on. I mean, that's you've got all nature inside your place. I wish I could do
Yeah.
it, but yeah, that's quite beautiful. That really
And
is.
the other brother was talking about um, the things that life gives us free, like the leaves that fall in the autumn.
Mhm.
Well, sometimes we're given things out of our industrial society, whatever, that could really become a burden. But if you figure out how to use them, then you can convert those into a blessing. Like, for example, I've bought water bottles and I've used them like when I felt my tap water was kind of a risky situation for my plants at the time. I've used water bottles, watered my plants with them, and then cut the water bottles in half and used those for replanting. Milk cartons, turned them into planters. Just slice them up and make your ribs and fill them and whatever. And then this just occurred to me this morning how beans, they don't like to be transplanted, but you can start them early in your home. You just got to have a good system for doing it. So I thought, I've been saving these toilet paper rolls to grind up and feed to my worm farm. Why not take the toilet paper rolls, pack them with planting soil, and put your bean in there and grow them in the or the toilet paper roll, and then plant the whole thing in the ground in the fall, and it'll just disintegrate. Worms will chomp it down, and then I did something very similar with cardboard egg cartons here. I don't know if you can see very well through that plastic I've got over the top of it, but I got lettuce on the top of the egg carton, and then the holes for the eggs are perfectly spaced for the carrots. And you just plant the whole thing in the ground and it disintegrates. So you've used things that the modern life has given us that some people might just throw in the garbage and fill the landfill. And instead, I turn them into things that support life.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I'd like to hear a whole program that you do on that at some point. I think, wow. I always like the way things connect together. Jerry, you were talking about a Hopi elders who were sharing things with you, and I used to share a fair amount of time with Grandfather Martin when he was still around. He would come down to my place. I lived in Sedona then too, and he would come down and we would have we'd have meetings or we'd have little events, and Martin would always come, sometimes stay a few days, usually stay a few days. Um, one of
We know
his,
Grandfather Martin very well.
you know, Martin? Okay. Or you
Yes.
did know Martin. Yeah,
Yes.
he was quite an individual. But one of the things that I remember he and I talking about around the fire one night.
And Ruben Sufke.
Yep, yep. Ruben's still a friend, but yeah. Um, but Martin said when his time came, he just wanted to go with nature and under the trees. And I always thought, wow, and now lately, through my nonprofit, we've connected out with a couple of these burial places that, the natural burial. And so I've been really exploring that because and I'm getting to that age now, we don't know when it's going to come. Spirit tells me I have to go another 20 years to teach, but my body's saying, ouch. Um, but even there, we can complete the circle. And I always would teach about nature being what supports us um, from birth to the grave. Well, if we follow that through and start doing natural burials, then it goes beyond the grave and it completes the circle. So when we come back again, if that's our choice, we can do it and the circle stays connected. And that's a fairly new teaching for me. I wouldn't say it's from either of my primary cultures, but in a way, it's from both of them. Anything that Martin shared with you that you want to add into that? I feel his energy as we're talking.
One of the favorite memories that we have Adam Yellowbird. Oh, yes. Okay. And we went with Adam with a delegation that came from Europe, and they had prophecy and voices have been telling them to give this piece back to the Hopi people. And we went to speak with Grandfather Martin, and Grandfather Martin was amazing. Even when he started losing things with his faculties and everything, when it was time to be of sacred service, he would come back fully, and he would speak, and he would share what Spirit was giving him to share. And then when it was done, he would just kind of fold back in on himself, and just so he was there to be of service. And this it goes into the medicine of the trees and that circle, the medicine wheel, is because the trees, what we want to see in our environment, first we in teachings that everything begins within. First, it has to be alive within us for us to be able to give it away. And all of those things that Grandfather Martin embodied and the Hopi people embodied. Hopitani is how you say the teaching of the trees. And the virtue of the trees, which also means peaceable virtue, living and giving as, in everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel, in every aspect of who we are as a being. So it's just in honor of Grandfather Martin and all the Hopi people and all these teachings.
Okay, I guess I have to unmute. This thing tells you when you're dumb. Oh, yeah. I lived with Adam for a while on a property in Page Springs, and that's one of the places that Grandfather Martin would come. So the more we talk, we're kind of like trees. Our roots keep connecting and reconnecting. Because I guess that's the first time I really got to meet Grandfather Martin. Oh, I think I went up with Sakina Blue Star to meet with some people and ran into somebody said, go over and meet Grandfather Martin, and I did. And yeah, I mean, I remember that too. That's right. He would be, I'm trying to think, well, it doesn't matter. He would be vacant at times in a way. And yet when it was time, you're right, he just pulled it together. And he was there totally in his power. And I think that's part of us being hollow bones. As we get older, we put our energy where it's needed, so it's there fully when we need it. And at other times, maybe not as much. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it just sticks.
Jim, were you present for the Return of the Ancestors?
Huh?
The gathering, Return of the Ancestors that Adam helped
Way back when? That one?
facilitate and happen?
You mean the one like
Yes, 2009, 2010.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was new and he asked me to help. So I was part of his crew and then I went on his board of directors shortly after that with Jim Beard and
Here's you.
yeah, Jim Beard
Yep.
was on the
Jim
first
Beard is a
team.
very dear friend of ours.
Yep.
Very
Yeah,
dear
me
friend and
too.
elder. Then you also met my wife that was present at the gathering. I had to be
Yeah.
in Wisconsin, so was present.
Ah.
You-
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a lot to deal with. And it worked, but it was something you had to just let go and then let it happen.
I was part of the inner circle.
Okay.
Yeah, I was part of the inner circle, so I'm sure we met because I helped people fly in from Peru and all those other places. So.
Yep. Yeah, I was not. I
We
was.
actually lived with Adam and Carmen for a time.
Oh, that's funny. Where at on the
Mhm.
not on the Page Spring property?
Yeah.
No, actually, well, yeah, Page Spring.
Oh wow.
Before that, we from the very beginning when Adam got the call to form and do the ceremony, we were
Yep.
there from the beginning when we
Wow.
had zero money raised.
Yep.
Was that Page Springs? I used to hang out there and talk to fairies.
Huh. And some of these things, yeah, and I was new here, so I was a volunteer. I said, just point me. But then shortly afterwards, actually Jim Beard and Adam both came and said, hey, will you serve on this board of directors? And I said, sure. I don't know much yet, but yes. And so that's kind of started our relationship. And it's interesting because I had some of the Kogi came and stayed with us too when I was sharing property with Adam. And the Kogi have just reached out to me. I'll be saying a lot more, but they're about to really become a presence. They're going to spread out around the globe now to actually teach physically. And one of the places we're working with them here is to bring them here for a while. They want to connect up and make this one of the sacred places that they're connected with all the time. So we're dedicating a lot of my nonprofit time to that right now. And I welcome any help that wants to show up for that. It's going to be powerful, I think.
I was just going to say,
Whoops.
we're in Texas, but that's not that far.
No, it's not. And you don't have to physically be here as we start doing it. Yeah, let's connect. We'll connect off. Yeah. All of us.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just beginning. Some of them are coming down and they have somebody running up. There's a nonprofit now. And for the first time, it's a big nonprofit down there in Columbia. It's working with all 35 of the communities. So it's going to be something. They're going to do a little video and send it up to me so I have something to share. What they're going to say, I don't know, but we never do, and that's fine. Whatever it is powerful. Okay, stick back in the middle. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
I was just going to say, I don't mean to monopolize the whole talking circle. So I was going to do the same thing you were going to do and put the stick down.
Yep. Yeah, and no, it's just.
Well, before I move on, then Randall, I would like to say, Randall,
Yes.
You're a living example of what we're all striving to do, and the beautiful thing you've done with the plants and working that close
Oh,
with nature.
Yes.
thank
That's
you.
amazing, and thank you very
Yes.
much, brother.
You know it. You're welcome.
Yeah, Randall, I would love to connect up and schedule a show to do just with you or just with a couple of people and focus
Yeah.
in on what you're doing because it is. I agree with Jerry. It's perfect. I mean, you couldn't write a script better than what you're doing right now.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of respect for that. That is a lot of work. That's not minor.
Yes, sir. It is. But it's a labor of love.
Yeah, well, it has to be.
And my plants speak to me. I speak to them. We help each
Uh-huh.
other out.
Yep. Yeah, okay. We definitely have to do that. I'll make
Yeah.
sure. I don't think are we friends on Facebook? I don't think so.
I know. I'm actually a moderator on We Are the Medicine,
Ah,
and I
okay.
saw a request for a post there,
Yeah, yeah.
and I couldn't approve it, but I was like, oh, I want to go to that meeting.
Well, let's make sure we connect up and then if you're
Okay.
willing, let's follow up.
Sure.
It might be this group that does that show again. Who knows?
Okay.
We'll just
Okay.
focus in.
Yes, certainly.
Christine, I'm thinking your piece because you went up to Alaska for a long time, which is while I was down in Central America doing things, you were at the other extreme. You were up in the cold country. What, I'm just curious if you want to share, what caused your path to go up there and why did you then come back to another space?
Um, that's that's a story in itself. My parents couldn't make two incomes come together for their family of four children. So my dad said, okay, we're going to go to Alaska. And they had seen a travel movie or something about it, and they got excited about it. And dad said, okay, if we don't like Alaska, we'll go to Australia. But he had, as typical New England families are, they're in each other's back pockets. And my dad found that not healthy for him. So he wanted some space. So we got space. So we traveled to Alaska in a 36-foot trailer and what used to be the original travel all truck that was the original four-wheel drive, and it was an adventure from the get-go. From our first exposure to outhouses through Canada to as children, it was interesting. I was about 5 at the time, 5, just about to turn 6. Eldest of 4 kids. My youngest brother was 3 months at that time. So essentially grew up in Alaska once we got to Palmer and then into Anchorage. And I love living there. I mean, there are times now that I think I still have the original homestead cabin on our property up in Willow, but there's dog mushers all around. It's not quiet anymore. Spaces change over time. And so life happened, I ended up coming back to start over my life and to pursue something that had been a burden on my heart for a long time, and to get into counseling. And my spouse at the time didn't support that. So I said, okay, well, this urge is strong. So
Yeah.
I relocated in the East and got my master's. And now I do telehealth. But my spiritual path has been very convoluted with an anchor in a Christian base, but it is really all over the place with Eastern philosophy and the Native American culture, which I've always felt very connected to because the homesteading piece really anchored me in the land. not just the trees, although the trees are very special. Back here in the east, my 2 acres of property here, the trees are very special. And I do talk with the spirits of the land and ask for their permission to do things and things like that. But there's more about my teachings have been guided toward more developing ceremony and helping people develop ceremony to anchor their spirituality with their own well-being and trying to get that connection stronger. But will I ever go back to Alaska? Probably to visit. Like I said, I still have land up there. But it's not the same. But in my memory, I have some gems that I hold very dear, and they're part of my journeying practice, and are kept alive in that way. So coming back here was about starting over because all my people were from this area, Scotch-Irish ancestry, and I still have some living relatives all up and down the eastern seaboard. So connection to family at that time seemed like an important piece at that time. One of the things about Dad pulling us up and removing us completely from everything we ever knew and our blood connections was that there was a sense of all of my relations were strangers whenever we came east to visit. And so the idea of creating connection has always been about the Alaskan family. Not by blood, it's by choice. And you find those people that resonate with you and your values. And that's held me in good stead.
Wow. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm not being rude, by the way. I'm trying to connect up with the group so they get this. But, it might be that it was to be we four. There's actually 5 of us here, but we're the 4 directions here. So maybe this was what was meant to be. And I'm hearing that parts of what you were saying, Christine, and the others. I could say, yeah, yep, been there, yep. So we're bridges, I think. We're partly nomads. Well, big part of my DNA is gypsy, so I am a nomad. But we're out there to connect. We're out there to bridge people with the mother, which Randall shows so beautifully. And Lori and Jerry, who I've known for a while, not well, and I didn't realize we were in that many things together. But it is time to connect things up again. And you said, and things change over time. They sure do. And I can go back to when I was young, and I'd be out there walking in the woods, and you could drink water out of the streams. You could pull some things up and eat them, and on, and not a problem. You'd walk through the field of butterflies, and there'd be 1,000 butterflies. However, we still have incredible things left, and the mother keeps teaching me that. And some of those things can be brought back. I'm not a doom and gloomer. I know we're up against it right now. That's all the teachings. It's what all my elders pounded into me for years because I'm a slow learner and I'm stubborn. But we can still make a huge difference. And Randall's the bridge for that today. I mean, what he showed was, wow. I mean, my mouth was just open. And then you, Christine, you moving around. Lori and Jerry, I didn't realize they're in Texas now, but where we are isn't really important. We're reaching out and connecting. People were showing up back here around Sedona. Like I came back again because Creator keeps sending me places. And like you, Christine, my partner before this, who we were together like 12 years and we did some work I thought was really good. But the time came, she needed to do something else, and I'm on this road, and I had to be out here. Creator made that. And so it was okay, you know, then we just go our way. We continue to support each other, but we can't do it as a couple anymore. And that is sometimes part of the road and something that has to be accepted if you're going to walk the road. I was also brought up, I was from back east originally. And so, and my family denied all these blood connections. They said, no, no, we're just Italian, which, you know, my grandmother said, don't believe them. Of course, she was right when I did the test. But religion didn't hold correct for me. There was just too many things. Even as a child, I'm like, well, why? You know, why is that? Why are women less than? Why are other religions less than? I mean, it's a long list. And I respect some of the work they do, and I've moderated my stance over time, but I had to walk the spiritual road and finally stepped up into what my grandmother told me I would do. And it's really now is this time we're coming together. So I love we're doing some of our stories today from our cultures, but I think we're weaving it all together as well. And I'm just watching these connections, and as usual, I go, wow, you know, my my friend from New Zealand was going to be on, but it was just too early in the morning for him because he's had a similar walk, and he'll be coming up here to be part of the process. I think we have to just keep connecting, keep hooking things together, all the cultures. You're representing the Celtic, and I've done work with over there in the past, and I have strong friends in that part of the world. We just have to hold strong, connect us with the mother, connect us with each other, not fight back. That was a big teaching for me. Being a warrior now means being a peaceful warrior in my world. No more, you know, yeah, we just can't be the hold that spear and shoot the other person. That's not going to work. Watching Randall and the way he connects with plants, I'm like, yep, okay, that works. Spread our roots, let them grow, and use what we have. We still throw away too much, way too much. Lori and Jerry, yeah, there was a huge gathering of ancestors here years ago that Adam Yellowbird, pulled together. I'm not sure he was even totally sure what the hell was happening then because it just.
Well, he started it years before you even saw it.
Yep.
Because I was here from the very ground floor when he decided that he was going to be doing it.
Okay.
And he called from all over. I mean, they came from all over the world.
Yep.
It was very fascinating. You were speaking of Celtic. I am actually Chaligi, Powhatan, English, and Irish.
Yep. Okay.
Here's all the medicines of those
yeah.
ancestors.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like
you're like me. You're
one half Native American. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm less
and
than
the rest
half,
of it English and Irish.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we're pretty much all a mix. It's hard to find people that are only one.
Jerry's not.
Jerry, you're
Jerry's
straight.
Menominee.
You're just wow.
He's a straight Menominee man.
One culture.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
There you go.
I'm Menominee. I was adopted out when I was a baby during the time that the Menominee didn't even exist anymore because they were taking the status was taken away as a people.
Yeah.
Which is funny because my walk has always been about it's not about race.
No.
It's not about culture. It's about we are human beings and now is the time we need to do this. Yep. Now is the time to come together as human beings.
Yep.
And my greatest teachings, I can speak fluently Hopi, and I'm learning the language of Menominee people now.
Wow. Yeah, I wish I was better at languages. I'm not.
A little bit of Cherokee.
Yeah, and a little bit of Cherokee because of Lori. She can speak her language.
I can speak a little bit of Lakota because that was my primary teachers, and that's about it. When I'm down in Central America, they have fun.
Alan Hicks?
Huh?
Alan Hicks?
The firekeeper?
You had to meet Alan.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. He's Cherokee.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I just ran into him a few weeks ago up in Sedona.
Next time you see him, you'll have to, or Adam, you'll have to say, "Hey, guess who I just talked to?"
I will.
Yeah. Guarantee you they know who we are.
Yeah, that's wow. And yeah, that was a great gathering. And I was when Standing Rock happened, um, I was asked to run the virtual part of that. So that's how I got involved. I saw that there was no coverage going on, and I went up there and met with LaDonna and Miles, her husband, and she told me what was needed, and we started. But one thing that occurred to me then was people started connecting in and the tribes from around the planet started showing up, it was kind of I was thinking about what Adam had led back before and thinking something else is going to follow. And I still feel that. I still feel there's got to be this huge come together, stand up in a visible way. We're doing it now for sure. I mean, we're doing it here this morning. But I'm feeling that another time of those coming together has to happen.
I will
Yeah, go ahead.
off of here, I will share with you the piece that we've been given the responsibility for, and it's all part of an ancient Hopi prophecy.
Yep.
That I can share here now, that during these times, new societies would be formed.
Yep.
Well, my elder that shared that with us, he didn't quite understand, because all that was needed was on, the Hopis had it. They had all the ceremonies and they had the societies for everything.
Mhm.
But it was a new society that must be formed that was not necessarily all native, not necessarily all from one tribe, but all those
Thank you.
who have come back here
Mhm.
to return, literally the return of the ancestors.
Mhm.
That's what that was about.
And we've come back to be in this time because it is time is needed, it's a time of gathering, because
Yes.
all this gathering, all these pieces that we're seeing, this talking circle, all of our groups coming together, it's a gathering of the people to return, and it's going to know no boundaries, because as we go into that fifth world, that's what the fifth world is about. It's about no boundaries.
Mhm.
No boundaries of race, culture, creed, different perspective. It's about the truth being realized that we're all one, and that the beginning of this world, the beginning of this fourth world, according to the Hopi histories, when they emerged at the Sipapu
Mhm.
by the Grand Canyon there, it wasn't just the Hopi that emerged. All races of man were present and emerged at that point.
Mhm.
And they say that why did was learning from my teacher as he was pouring water. I was his assistant, and there was this young man that was very prejudiced against other cultures, other people that were not white.
Mhm.
And I just quietly turned to Hawk and I said, "What do the elders say about why the others came here?" He smiled and he nodded and he simply said, "They said it had to happen.
Yeah.
For it was only by returning back home could they once again receive the teachings and the lessons that they've forgotten, that we are all one people, and so that we could all heal as a human race."
So that was part of the return of the ancestors,
Yep.
was the fact that people came together that did not like each other for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
I was trying to remember. It was Inca and somebody else. They fought all the time. Remember my little friend?
Yeah.
They fought all the time, but when they come to this, they were all together. Everybody was together. They were working towards that one goal, and that was to share the prophecies.
Mhm.
That everybody had their own prophecy,
Mhm.
but they were different yet the same. Do you understand? They were different yet the
Yep.
same.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting
Wow.
because I lived with the Athabascan people at a time that
Mhm.
was very chaotic for the native peoples in Alaska. The support of the cultures in the lower 48 were coming up and trying to help the native land claims acts, making sure that the native cultures that were still alive, that still had their language, that still had a connection, that it wasn't quite dead yet, that they were protected and fostered and grown. And it was an interesting time because living as a white person in a native village, and as a white woman, it was very, very interesting time. The prejudice and the hostility, while understood, made it difficult to do any bridging at that time. And it was, and so I'm curious to know if the northern tribes are being represented in some of these activities that are looking at being more accepting of the white culture in all of our folly, in order to unite humanity. And I'm just wondering if there's been a shift, because I can't say that there's been a great one while I was in Alaska.
Well, part
Those
of the
cultures held a
ICA
lot of hostility.
part of the ICA, they had people like from Germany come up. So there was white representatives as well as the Native American and African representatives. We had many colors in China and Japan. So we invited everyone to be part of it.
Everyone has a place in the circle, and that's what the full prophecy of the gathering of the eagle and condor.
Yep.
Well, it's right now it's eagle, condor, quetzal, hummingbird. The full prophecy, when the full prophecy is complete, all the races will be rented in the final, as the circle is closed, will be the white race. And they will be asked to that have remembered their ceremonies, remembered their people and their cultures. They will be asked to open the ceremonies for that final ceremony in the completion of the circle of the prophecy.
And one of the things I'm proud of is a group that we dance with, Mexica, out here. We went to Arizona. They paid for us to come up there, and
when it was time for the eagle, quetzal, condor to gather, we by coming to Texas, we found the
the quetzal
people of the quetzal, and it was because we went to Texas that we were able to bring them for that ceremony, for that gathering.
Yep.
And it was really cool that we actually wound up in Texas, because that's not really where we thought we'd be. And
I've been in those spots. Yeah, I hear you.
But my mother
Wow.
did us, so here we are.
Yeah, I really want to connect up with everyone on this call as we move ahead, because obviously we're all to be doing a part of this. And I watch over the years how these things just keep repeating. And I'll go back to Standing Rock.
I'll give them our LJ Spirit. I give them
Yeah.
a phone, I'll give them our LJ Spirit.
Standing Rock, we were mixed people from around the globe. You know, we had the Sami come in from up in the cold country. We had some from Alaska. We had Africa. Everybody was showing up. And we stood there, and where I camped, I couldn't understand the language of anyone around me, but we all spoke the same language. And that's, yeah, something's brewing again. And I think, yeah, we're talking about it today. I was given this, I posted this, I think this morning. Someone sent it to me and said, Jim, you need to use this now. You keep saying it, but some people aren't listening. Can I just read this? It's short. Oh, I just lost it. Okay, here it is. If you're silent about your beliefs because you're worried someone will be offended, then your beliefs are not important to you, but rather what people think about you is. When you stand up for what's right and true, you will receive both hate and love, but everyone will know you and what you're fighting for. And I think that's exactly what's been going on. I know it has for me for years. Now we just need to stand in the light. There's a lot of us now. That didn't used to be the case. Most of you here have enough years to remember when that wasn't the case, I'm sure. But now when we stand up, we see people all around us. And I'm just thinking, this friend from New Zealand, he was here last year, and he's really challenged with physical issues, but he knew he had to come. And the number one place he had to go, Lori and Jerry, was Hopi Land. He had no idea why. And we spent...
He used to go to Montezuma as well.
Well, he was there too. I'm right above Montezuma as well. I'm on the mesa right above it. And when you need a place to stay, there's a place here always. Just
thank you.
You bet. Anybody, and who's here. But First Mesa, he got out in a couple of places and just walked, and I couldn't get him to move for hours. It was really fascinating. So he's coming back in a few weeks. And again, the first place he needs to go is Hopi Land. Why, we don't know, but when we were doing things last year and sharing the medicine, we quickly understood you can't plan anymore. You have to be in the heart and just allow. We got to really be hollow bones now, whether we're talking to the mother or each other, or because every plan we made fell apart quickly. Even
Yeah.
right? I mean, and when
Yeah.
we didn't plan, woof, there it was. So yeah, it's an honor to be. I think it was you, Jerry, you said, but it's an honor to be here at this time on this planet. Compared to everyone who's been here and will be here and all in
Did
the
you say that?
universe, there's a tiny, tiny little drop of us here right now. So we've been honored to be here and play our role. And that was something my teachers taught me for a long time. And I think it's only fairly recently that I actually understood in the last 10 years um, what they meant. Anybody want to add into that one? I'm sure you've felt it or heard it, or maybe you haven't.
I'm giving others a chance to speak.
Yeah, sorry, sticks in the middle. My allergies are killing me.
What's that?
Yeah, talking sticks in the middle.
Then I will pick it up if no one else will pick it up. They've told me to share another story. Told me this 2 hours before the circle happened. I get told, guided, and I don't know why to share the story, but now I understand why. But first, the story. I said earlier, Coyote showed up even before most of us showed up to this meeting. Coyote showed up. Coyote is a teacher, represents us to beware our ego, our mind, and with everything that's going on today in the world, it's a microcosm and a macrocosm. If it's going on out in the outer world, it's also going on within us. Mm-hmm. So this story is about Coyote and Rockrin. Coyote was going along one day when he heard singing. It was a beautiful song. He paused and he listened for a while. Then he determined that he must have that beautiful song. He must have it. So he went in the direction of the singing to see who it was. He came upon Mother Wren. She was sitting on some rocks. Coyote listened a while. Mother Wren, I heard you singing as I was going along. It is a beautiful song indeed. I came closer to listen. I want you to teach me this wonderful song. What is this song? It is no song, Coyote. I am lamenting my children. They have been killed and eaten by a badger. I am just crying for them. It is not a song. No, it is a beautiful song. You will teach it to me or I will eat you too. And so Mother Wren repeated her lament. She kept going over and over it until Coyote had learned. Then Coyote was happy, and he went on his way again singing. As he went along, though, something caught his attention in the distance for a moment. He watched it and then went on his way again, but he had paused, and it made him forget his new song. So he went back to Mother Wren. Mother Wren, I have forgotten the song. Teach it to me again. Once again, she recited her lament over and over until Coyote had it again. Once more, he went on his way, singing as he went along. But as he went along, he tripped over something and fell. He looked around to make sure that no one had made him trip and that no one had seen him. Then he grunted in frustration. The fall had made him forget his beautiful new song. So he returned to Mother Wren again. Mother Wren, something hit me and I've forgotten the song. Teach me again. Again, Mother Wren sang her lament over and over until Coyote had it again. Once more, he went on his way, singing as he went along. Mother Wren was sure that foolish Coyote would do something and forget again, so she prepared a little trick. She gathered some rocks and set them up where she had been sitting. She arranged them so that it looked just like her. Then she flew away before Coyote could come back again. Coyote began to get a sore throat from singing so much, so he paused at a spring to get a drink of water. When he had satisfied his thirst, He turned to go on his way again, paused. Once again, he had forgotten the song while he was drinking. He turned and headed back to Mother Wren. He paused and spoke to her again. Mother Wren, something has happened and I've forgotten the song again. Teach me again. He was greeted with silence. Mother Wren, I said, sing your song again. I have forgotten. Silence. Now Coyote was getting impatient. Mother Wren, sing your song again. If you do not, I will make a meal of you. Now sing. Silence. Once again. This was too much disrespect for Coyote to hear. He leaped as he came down, his mouth open wide, and clamped his powerful jaws as hard as he could on Mother Wren, or what he thought was Mother Wren. He howled in pain. Teeth flew everywhere. Blood spurted from his mouth, and he howled in agony. To ease the pain, he thought to get cool water from the spring again, so he raced back there. Just as he bent to drink, he jumped back in terror. There was a bloody monster sitting just below the surface of the water waiting for him. It was the ugliest thing Coyote had ever seen, and he knew that something that ugly must surely be evil. He turned and raced to the next spring. He eased to the water's edge and leaned over to get a cool drink. But again, he leaped back in fright. There was another ugly creature there, lurking just below the surface, waiting for him. It was a twin of the first beast. He turned and he headed for another spring he knew what it was about. He was slowing now. He was still losing blood and he was weakening. He was almost crawling by the time he reached the spring. He snuck to the water's edge and eased his head over the water. Again, he fell back. Another hideous beast was staring at him just below the surface. He turned and intended to go yet another spring. He could no longer run. He walked. He was still bleeding. Soon he could go no more. He laid down to rest a moment and gathered his strength. But he kept bleeding and losing strength. And he never got up again. He died there because of his attack on Mother Wren and because of his fear of his own reflection. Oh.
Oh. Ooh, I didn't know that one. That's a great story. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That has a lot to say for sure.
So this is the time. This is the time of gathering, but this is also the time of shedding, which we no longer need.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I was reminded of that in a small way again the other day, but I blew it out. I was officiating at a wedding the other day, and I was told, oh, carrying this awful fear and these old things and these old bits and pieces, and I don't know how I can go and get married carrying all this. And so I went back to the teaching of the worry basket, and we got a worry basket. And so before we got to the place of the ceremony, we went through a little releasing things into the worry basket. And I just watched the stress come off of her. And I remembered also, yeah, we got to let go of, I'm going through it myself. A lot of things are coming up. I'm 75 walks around now. And things are coming back that I thought I had already worked through, and we haven't necessarily. It's taking yet another turn, and so it takes some strength. And your story is exactly right. You know, looking in the mirror is the hardest thing. Looking in the lake, whatever, it's the same thing. Looking at our own reflection and seeing what's there, and making peace with it, and then loving ourselves. It's so critical. I'm done. Sticks in the middle.
Your story about the wedding. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead. Christine. Go ahead, Christine. Go ahead.
Your wedding reminded me of something that happened this past fall. my son and his fiance got married, and the ceremony was planned on a certain day, right? And there is always at an outdoor wedding, there's always the weather and the unpredictability of it. It turned out that my son's father had to take a quick trip up to Alaska to help his dad because his dad had suffered a minor heart attack and needed to bring him down to where he's living in North Carolina, working in North Carolina. And so a week before the wedding, he's done that. And he comes back. And so this was also the week of one of the hurricane storms that came through the Carolinas and hit Asheville so hard. And everyone was traveling at this through this hurricane. And my other son and I traveled through the hurricane, luggage getting soaking wet, but we arrived safely. And that was the big thing. My son says, "Oh, Mom, we're probably going to have to try to find another venue, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Okay, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that." And so that night I spoke to my spirits and I said, "We really need to have the venue clear for the ceremony on this day." And I got reassurances, yeah, that's fine. So I told my son the next morning, I said, I talked to my spirits. They said everything is good. You won't need an extra venue. Okay, yeah, Mom. And so it got left there. Then the officiant, his father died. And so now what do we do? So his best man steps up to be the officiant. And then my ex, who my son had brought down from Alaska, now has going to become the best man. And the other weird thing about that is that his father, my husband's father, was his best man at our wedding. So kind of a family tradition got unexpectedly reenacted. So anyway, so then my son says, "Oh my God, the day dawned, it was pouring rain. And, they're still nervous about having a second venue. They've got something lined up." And I said, "Okay, but, the ceremony's not until 4 p.m. and this is 8 o'clock in the morning, just hang on." So I'm dealing with a nervous bride and all of those kinds of things. And everybody's scrambling to get things reorganized because everything that was planned had been blown up. And sure enough, at noon, it stopped raining and the sun began to come out. And by 4 o'clock, it was 82 degrees, a beautiful breeze, and beautifully sunny out. And we had the ceremony. And all went well in the evening. As the evening drew nigh, all of the food and everything was just perfect. Couldn't have been better. And so afterwards, my son said, "How did you know?" I said, "Well, it's really hard to explain because he's an agnostic." I says, "I just really do tap into my spiritual side." I said, "And that helps me keep my balance. And with balance comes that positivity that everybody is always looking for." And so it just reminded me that when we work with the spirits, when we work with the elements and asking them for gentleness and for favor, they're more than gracious. And it was just a beautiful example of my leaning into what I'm being called to do and being able to see the fruits of that to benefit my family. And I was just very grateful, very, very grateful.
Yeah, nice story. Thank you. And it does work that way. I'm going to turn it to Randall in a moment, but the same thing with this wedding. I'm in Sedona. We don't get much rain except one time of the year. But a day and a half before their wedding, it started to rain, and it was supposed to rain heavy on the day of their wedding. And I said, "Tell me what you want. Do you want to still be outside? Do you want me to suggest some places under roof?" And they said, "No, we have to be in nature. If it rains, if it's all right with you." And I said, "It's fine with me." And I had a woman come with me, a good friend. And so we said, "Okay, it'll be outside." And they said, "Well, what do you think, Jim?" And well, I think it'll be whatever it needs to be. And I said, "But what I remember is some years back, I was in Great Britain, and I was given permission to go into Stonehenge and bring our big drum in and actually do ceremony there. And it was beautiful. But when that happened, it was raining like the dickens. And I just remember sending a prayer up. Could we have some help here, please? And it literally, the skies opened 20 minutes before we were to start. And when we were done, it started raining again. And I said, "I'm just remembering that story, and let's send a prayer." And that's exactly what happened the other day. Shortly before we were going to do the ceremony, it stopped raining. Skies opened above us, partly cloudy, beautiful white puffy clouds. We did the ceremony, and then as we were coming off the hill we were doing it on, it started to rain again. And so it's yeah. But Coyote's working through it too. That all ended up being late because there was all kinds of issues they had trying to get to the place. So, and I hear I hear Jerry with Coyote. Here it started actually before we came on because Anila started this group up and asked me to help. And Anila and Beef are Hawaiian native people, and I love them. They're wonderful. We did lodge here a while ago, but she went and changed the time on the group. Well, she didn't realize she was changing her. It changed everything incorrectly. So Kylie was already working before we got here. And then when I saw two people pop up who I didn't know, and I was just watching, I had a feeling that was going to happen. And so here we are, and it's all perfect. Sorry, go ahead, Randall.
Oh, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Jerry's story reminded me about my most recent relationship. I was married to a Colombian woman for about 7 years, and we had lots of issues, and he was a little bit more fiery than I than I could tolerate. His story reminded me that a lot of the times, what we see in other people that happen to be attracted to our frequency, what we see in other people that bothers us is oftentimes a reflection of something about ourselves that we don't like. And if that coyote would have stuck its nose into its fear that he saw in the water, he would have found a fresh, refreshing drink of water. And the fear would have been for naught. And it makes me think about that recent relationship. I'm like, maybe if I'd have stuck my nose into it more, I'd have figured it out and not just ran away in fear.
Yeah, I hear you. Been there.
Yeah.
I would put a couple of your words out there though. You would have figured it out. And I've been talking about this a lot because I'm finding it in everything right now. Figure it out means you're going up here.
Yeah.
If you had felt it out, maybe. The mother keeps telling me, get the hell out of your head. And I've always had I've always had to work to balance the two. Now I'm
Yeah.
trying to go even stronger into the heart to get through
Yeah.
this for sure. Ooh, I love that story, Jerry. That was awesome.
And I would like to thank you. Your words led right into what I was going to say. So it's beautiful. The energy is flowing exactly as it's supposed to be. Um, what I was going to say is that I want to thank those Hopi elders who passed this story on from generation to generation for thousands of years. It's not my story. I can take credit for none of it. I was just happen to stumble into the place in the right time and been blessed by the right people to say, for them to say, you need to carry this to other people. And it's not my story. I can take care, I take no credit for any of these teachings and any of these stories that we've shared today. They're not mine. They come from a time when we were all one people.
Mhm.
These teachings are from that time.
Mhm.
The Hopis held on to those truths. It's a time to return back to that now. I see 4 wonderful people here, beautiful people who are meant to gather and meant to do work, to shed those things within ourselves and to see everyone around them as that beautiful spirit that they are. And I want to thank all of you for doing that.
Oh,
Oh,
I completely agree. And I say that all the time too. And I've been blessed to have elders and teachers of many different cultures. And you're right. And everything I share and every prayer I do and ceremony I do and teaching I come up with are just things coming through me or things I've been taught. However, um, my teachers always said it's important to remember, though, and also respect that we are doing our best to be hollow bones and take credit for being hollow bones of Creator. So I give you that respect because you're a great hollow bone.
I thank you for that.
Hmm.
I just say I'm just simply Jerry.
Yep. No, you're right. I totally agree. And I'm not, yeah. And we don't have to be I am people. We're just human beings doing the best we can. Well, we're coming up close to, wow, that was fast. At least it seemed like it to me. Any last thoughts?
I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to participate today and to have connection with you all.
Mhm. Yeah, me as well. This was an amazing circle. Uh,
I repeat those thanks.
mhm.
thank
I
you.
would have, yeah, go ahead. Who
Oh,
was
I'm just saying I feel the
okay?
same way.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't see where it was coming from. Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, yeah. I'm feeling, Jerry, if you're willing, would you do a prayer to close us out? It feels like it needs to come from you for the circle.
It's very interesting because I was about to offer you that to close the circle. So it's very interesting the way that works.
Uh-huh.
Shtukulungo, Teo, Sha, Yoji, no, Ingo, Salam Mingo, Okiwa, the Kyang no Etani, the talk to Pango, Remue Pahata, Puita Huam, Shtukulungwa, and Cha, Sachevma, Wayman the Kami, Ane, Aho. And basically, what I said was I thank Creator and all the spirits of the directions and the ancestors and all the spirits of all of you and your ancestors for bringing us together this day for all that was shared and all that will be shared continue to be shared because this is going to be recorded. I thank Creator. I thank our ancestors and guardians of the directions. I thank each one of you.
Oh, beautiful. And right to the point. Yes, we will share this out, and everybody who hears it after the fact, if you feel the power in this that I have today, share it out. That's what it's there for. and welcome people into this group as we continue to share, because I know these weekly gatherings are going to provide similar scenarios. It's not for us to decide. Like Jerry said, 4 people were here, actually 5, but 4 spots. So we held the directions. We did what we were meant to do. Christine, I don't know if we're connected online, but if not, let's make sure we connect up as well.
Through the Tsui prayer circle.
Right. Okay.
That's how I know you.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, okay. I thought I recognized your name. It's hard to keep everybody straight. I was never good at names anyway.
Well, my presence on Facebook is Chris and not Christine, but
Okay.
I go professionally, I go by Christine now.
Gotcha. So thank everybody. This was awesome. We will be connecting. This is, of course, it's the end of the show, but just the beginning of what we're supposed to do. Thank you all. Thank everybody in the circle. Be well.
Thank you.
Oh.